All right. Hey guys, it's Amanda again, and we are going back to foot health. And we're going to start off with just meeting your foot. So it sounds weird, I know, but believe it or not, there's actually a triangle shape on the bottom of your foot underneath your big toe, underneath your small toe, and then where your heel is. So these are the 3 points of contact that creates the three arches in your foot. Yes, you have three of them, one on the inside that connects these two, one on the outside that connects the little toe to the heel. And then you also have a transverse arch, which is the one that really collapses when people don't use their big toe correctly. They'll have bunions or they have flat feet. So a healthy foot has those 3 points of contact. And as you grow older, as you become more of an adult and wear shoes more often, that's really the big thing here. Your pressure point ends up going from these two places of underneath your big toe and on the edge of your pinky, and it ends up migrating in towards underneath your second toe. Like it's a crazy stat that literally 90% of people have this pressure of where the majority of their weight goes into when they take a step is underneath the second toe, not underneath the big toe, which is crazy. Like, we're not using our big toes the way that they're supposed to be, which is why we have bunions, why we have plantar fasciitis, all these other things that are like very easily fixable once you're aware of them. So there's a few different forms of people's feet. I have a few of them pictured here. You have slope, mountain, plateau, and square. And depending on the shape of your foot, which if you haven't already, I want you to literally take a piece of paper, trace the outline of your foot. If you want to go a little bit more arts and crafts, grab some paint, or what I like to use is the liquid chalk marker, and draw that all over the bottom of your foot. Anywhere that hits the ground when you take a step, I want you to color it in with this chalk marker, right? And then just step on a piece of paper or something that you're able to look at your foot shape for. So using this, you're going to see what type of foot you have. And then in that regards, like, you're going to see that like you're going to have a way different foot shape. You're going to have a way different shoe if you have a sloped narrower foot versus a square broader foot. Okay, so these are just kind of like touching on the surface. I'm a really big believer in using flexible shoes, not so much like the barefoot shoe where, it's like the little toes that you put your toes in each one of the toe shoes, right? That's literally going from like never working out a day in your life to all of a sudden like signing up for a marathon, right? Like, if your feet aren't used to being in that splayed position, just putting those toe shoes on is not going to actually help your foot. It's just you're going to injure yourself way quicker. So actually building up the strength in your foot through a program such as the 4-week program that we have offered at the end of this presentation, like, that is literally the place to start. It's not go out and buy the Vibram toe shoes, because all you're going to do is now your feet are definitely going to hurt. You're actually going to exacerbate that pain, and now you're going to have inflammation in your feet. So use this information to, again, setting that baseline, right? Do you see hammer toes or claw toes? Those are, we'll talk about those later, but that's when the knuckle and joints of your toe, instead of laying straight, they will buckle. And depending on at what knuckle they buckle at, the buckle, depending on where they buckle, is whether it's a claw toe, a hammer toe, or a mallet toe. Bunions happen from the weakness of your big toe, and your big toe kind of migrates over and pushes into your small toes. The longer you don't strengthen that foot, and also causes plantar fasciitis. And then plantar fasciitis, if it goes unchecked long enough, can actually cause heel spurs, which are so painful, highly unrecommended, 0 out of 10 stars. Do not avoid at all costs, right? Also, collapsed arches and flat feet. People use these words interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. Collapsed arches is the arch of your foot. Let's say it's like normally it has this nice arch in it from like your big toe over to your little toe, right? Collapsed arch just means that this is flat. And it's just like the arch that goes in between, that runs between it, isn't strong enough to hold it up as you take a step. So that's fixable. However, flat feet is a little bit different. You can still have that arch. You can be super strong, but the bone that's in the bottom of, or that's in the top of the foot, called the talus, it can literally be like raised or lower, higher or lower from the ground. So like that is what gives people the high, low, or mid arch. Okay. Speaking of arches, so at my gym, I have something called the foot wall, which I don't have a picture of, but it's the coolest thing ever. So you're going to have to come in and check it out. But I have all of these little footprints of everyone that's taken foot advice from me, anyone that like was interested in functional fitness, anyone that like was interested in this stuff. Like I pretty much had them take their footprint and stick it on the wall. So like I said, I use the liquid chalk marker. They slap it up on the wall, and then they're able to compare it to other people and see how they compare and how they contrast based on the different arches, right? So you see this first one, this is a flat foot. Like you take a step, like literally that middle part of your like arch, everything just like stamps down to the ground. You see that full arch, or the full footprint, right? This one in the middle, it's the quote unquote normal, meaning that each one of your arches is utilized. You have a good foot splay, your toes are correctly proportionate. And then also notice down here, it's showing you that the positioning of your ankle bones are also in the correct position. Okay. And then this one over on the end, this is me. I'm the high arch. It just means that this bone right here, you see how it's like a little bit higher up. It just means that this is just a little bit taller on people that have high arches. And so therefore, when they take a step and they take their footprint, this little like narrowing of, I don't know what you want to call it, like narrowing of the connection from the heel to the base of the foot is very slight, if existent at all, right? Like when I take a footstep, like literally there's the heel and then there's the ball of the foot with my toes, right? Like they don't connect at all. They're just two islands, right? And this happens, like I said, based on the height of where that bone in your foot is placed from the ground, and then also how much your ankles are stabilizing your feet as you take a step. This one is very contraindicated of tight calves, bunions, weak ankles. I'm going to say weak ankles because technically there's no muscles in your ankle, but you're very likely to roll your ankle and have balance issues because of how pretty much like how tall you are off the ground, right? Like it sounds weird saying it like that. Like, oh, it's not that far. Like it's a few millimeters, right? But this imbalance literally at the bottom, at the foundation of where you're supposed to be standing, it trickles up to the rest of your body, up through those myofascial lines, and cause bigger problems as you go higher up. Like they always say with like, I don't know why you have so many construction terminology. Maybe I just know a lot of construction people, but building a strong foundation is the key to making a tall skyscraper. If you make a small, rickety foundation, right? Once you start building your tower, and even if something's like slightly off, you can have something a millimeter off on this giant skyscraper, right? As you get up, it's going to start going off. It's going to start turning. You're going to have all these issues that eventually you're going to reach a height that you're like, we literally can't build past this height because the foundation isn't set. So think of your feet as literally the foundation that you walk on, right? Okay. So at this part, this is when I would have people go and find their soulmates on the wall. But I'm going to take this time for you guys to catch up on these little arts and crafts that we're doing. So making sure that you're outlining your foot. Also do that chalk print on a piece of paper, and one more thing is I want you to try to find where your big pressure point is, right? Like I said, most people have it underneath that second to third toe. And you can find this by literally just taking a step and trying to see, okay, am I using my big toe? Am I using my second toe? Am I rolling all the way to the outside, right? Because maybe you've injured your foot before and you don't um, have a lot of flexibility in your foot. So try to mark down where your majority of your weight goes into when you're taking a step. Okay. Like I said, it's most likely going to be under the second and third toe, or if you roll to the outside because you've previously injured your foot or lack of mobility, it'll probably be to the outside. But just kind of like take a look, see how it feels, and let me know in the comments of like what your foot looks like. Right. And I'll talk about mine too. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.